as Colleen said, I'm the Chief Technical Officer for REALTORS. And, a lot of what I'm doing is mapping the data from the UPAR system to the REALTORS system. So just to give you a little overview of what we're going to talk about is just that, the overview of what's going to happen. I'll go into the relationship that we have, why your leadership had decided to go in this direction, what to expect, important dates, and those important dates, as well as how to prepare, is going to be your homework. So yes, I know this is going to be tough, but coming out of this, you'll definitely be a much better MLS. You'll have more data, more applications, more opportunities for your MLS and association to grow.
And let me just remind everybody, we are recording this class today. So Brian's going to go over a tremendous amount of information. Two quick things, we're recording it. So this is going to be in your UPAR playlist on YouTube. So I'm going to show you how to get there at the end of this class. So don't worry if you miss anything or how to log in or what you need to know, you can go back and watch it. As well as Brian created a handout that you'll find in the GoToWebinar panel on the right. That will give you all the important dates and the step-by-steps and where to go and what you need to know. And if you have any questions today, we want this to be very interactive. So we know change is hard. I say that as a realtor. Make sure that you go into the questions box, which is probably minimized at the right-hand side of your screen. There's a questions box, and feel free to type your questions in, and I'll be addressing them as Brian goes through the rest of the demonstration, okay?
Okay. As I said, look, a conversion is definitely going to be a little stressful, to say the least. But again, what you're going to get out of this is more data, more products. But right now we're in what's called the parallel phase. So you're still going to continue to enter information in your current UPAR Paragon system, but that information will flow over into this Paragon system. So any listings that you've entered, they should be in this system, and you can actually check your inventory. So as of just before we started this, I can see there's several listings that were entered today that have made it over. So take a look. I'll also go into how important it is for you to look at that data, look at your listings. Also, I'd like to note that outside of the MLS system, IDX, those products that support your websites, those listings that go out into syndication, Zillow, Realtor.com, broker sites, all of that, they've been notified as of last year that this change is taking place. You don't need to do anything. We've already started handling all of that. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to start posting that as we go through this presentation. Okay, the vendoring experience. Now, we've done this for over 12 years. And one of the advantages and why we've been successful at growing this vendoring experience is we still allow your MLS to exist. It's you still maintain your full autonomy, your branding, fields, communication, and rules. All of that is maintained from your board. So you're able to operate just like you are today on this new platform. And plus, coming onto our platform, you get our support as well. So there's some advantages to that. You have multiple products, not just Paragon. You have Cloud CMA, Showing Time. We support those too. So we give you a single phone number, which I will show you at the end of the presentation, which is seen on the login page, which will provide you really support for everything that we provide you. So I just want to make that clear. Okay, the products and integrations. Now we're providing or at least access to some level to Paragon, Showing Time, Cloud CMA, HomeSnap, which is another product that you have. Zip form, we don't provide it, but we do provide the MLS connector. Now, what that is a product that you can add on to zip form that will auto-populate documents into the form system. So that's something that's available. We've already set that up. That integration is already established. Plus some new ones that you don't have, which is BSNA and RPR. We'll provide deep linking for both of those. However, I want to note that these records are not being paid for BSNA. So if there is a fee, that is something that you'll have to handle. We're providing the convenience of the deep linking that goes directly into BSNA. Plus, we have another option that will provide tax autofill. Now, what this will do on listing entry, it will auto-pop some of the basic information like the address, the property ID, the legal description. Up in the UP, the assessor's information is kind of hit and miss. But I would encourage you to do that because at the very least, you're getting the correct property ID, legal description, and address. Okay, some other linking that we provide in other services are deep linking to HomeSnap within the property reports, but also a new product that you're going to be getting that's called the single property website. And what this is going to do, this will provide you a way to market that property in addition to other properties that you have that will be down at the bottom of these pages, but they're dedicated to each and every property that you have listed. So once you list it, you get a notification that, hey, you're ready to market this property on social media. You can post it. It's very dynamic. It'll scale based on the device that's being used. So whether it's a full desktop down to a phone, it will scale nicely between and in between, whether it's a tablet. So it's a great site. We've actually developed that in-house. So it's something that we found kind of improved on what we were getting in Paragon. You're still capable of posting on Facebook from Paragon as well. It's just that this was what we saw as an improvement on that. Okay, HomeSnap Pro Premium. You have HomeSnap Pro today, but we have an added feature that allows you to edit listings. So this will allow you to edit a few fields, status, price, remarks fields, directions, and so on, as well as access to the associated documents. So you didn't get that previously, so this is something that you'll now get. So it is an upgrade over the current version of HomeSnap. Okay, and the BSNA deep linking. As you can see, Colleen likes to call this a trash can. I like to call it a government pillar that's a little squished down, so it will deep link right to the BSNA records. And again, as I mentioned, it does not handle the fee, so if you have a BSNA account, it'll go right in. So really what we're doing is providing the convenience of the BSNA, or the deep linking. That's what we like to call it. Okay, data sharing. Now, prior to onboarding, you really didn't have any data sharing. And that is one of the big benefits that you're getting coming on board. And starting today or this week, in addition to the Upper Peninsula, you're going to get these other associations and MLSs included. Now, they're quite far down here, but this is just the beginning. As we gain new sharing partners, you'll be able to participate in those as well. And I do want to say that just for your information, that we did reach out to the Eastern UP, and they gave us a hard no at this point as far as data sharing. So I just want to let you know, the same goes with Emmett AKC, which is Northern Michigan MLS, and Water Wonderland. So they don't seem to be interested at this point, but it's all it takes is a yes. We we've offered them a very inexpensive solution to data sharing. So all they have to do is say yes. So I just wanted to make that noted because we have given the effort to expand on the data sharing that we have today. And before I get further in, I just want to let everyone know that for those multi-state licensed brokerages and agents, we had and put in the effort of adding Wisconsin. And, you know, after reviewing your data, I saw it as absolutely necessary. This was not something that we could just throw into an other or an unidentified location. So we did add I think there's 72 counties, 94 areas and municipalities and mail cities, and the school districts as well. So that accounted for 426 active listings and closed, pending and closed within the last year. That accounted for over 53 million in volume. So this was absolutely necessary. So this was one reason that we had to kind of push things back a little bit, and this has slowed the conversion. But again, this was one reason. This was something that I saw definitely essential as part of the UP's data. So I'm happy to say that we have accurately identified those. Now, we didn't identify all the areas, so I would like to let everybody know once listing entry starts, which is on April 4th, I'll cover that shortly. If there's an area that we don't have that needs to be added in Wisconsin, please let your board know. That is something we can easily do to accommodate a listing. In addition to Wisconsin data, we did add a number of unique fields to UPAR. And you can see several of them are familiar, the ski resort and description, and the trail site and description, as well as the water view. The MLS ID. Now that is something that you have to enter at listing entry. That is a drop down. You identify one of 5 regional MLSs. That is something that we maintained also, just based on the fact that that your regions do have their own policies, and I saw a reason to keep it just for that reason. That way, those regionals can continue to run reports and so on. Okay, in addition to the new fields, I just want everyone to know that NAR has really come down, especially in the last year, about MLS changes. And that seriously impacts us. So this goes beyond what they have done in the past, which was just core requirements for the association, but they left the MLS alone. Well, those days are behind us. They're now requiring us to adjust our MLS system to comply with RESO mandates. Now, RESO stands for the Real Estate Standards Organization. That was an organization created by NAR to create these standards that allows us to have common fields between one MLS and another. And the whole point of this is to allow more opportunities for additional real estate products in the industry. So what that does is it allows us to create a plug and play atmosphere. So it really benefits you, the brokers, agents, and appraisers out there that want to look at new products that are available. This makes it easier for those new products to get into the real estate industry. So it just really offers you more choice by us maintaining these standards. But by doing that, we have to introduce and possibly change field names or add fields again to maintain these standards. So just letting you know, this is something that came down last year. The standards organization has been around for a number of years. I actually participate on a lot of the work groups, but just letting you know, going forward, we've introduced your fields, but there will be field changes coming, and those are coming straight from NAR. Okay, missing required fields. This might look daunting, but don't be bothered by the fact that you're going to get hit with a number of these. They're very basic fields, and I'm just giving you some of the maybe the most common ones. You might not get hit with all of these, but when it comes to the compensation, there's a yes/no field that needs to be answered, and an amount. What we could do is just populate what are called the description fields, and those are used for a lot of the data shares where they have non-standard fields or non-standard compensation fields. We have to find a place to put them. So a lot of that stuff is where it populates. The cheat sheet covers a lot of this. You'll find that on the home page when you log into Paragon. There's a click here, and it's a document that's covering what I'm talking about. You can print it out. It's a PDF, so it'll really walk you through what I'm talking about today. And again, Colleen mentioned we're recording this, so you can watch this at a later date. And this is kind of what it'll look like. You know what those errors look like? They appear above. You just click on the line, and you can populate the information. Okay, notable points of difference. Your rentals in your current system were in separate classes, or are in separate classes. You had a residential rental and a commercial rental. Well, in our system, they're actually in the same class. You select whether it's a sale or a rental, and then the relevant information is required to be populated. So if it's a lease rental, you'll be required to enter information about the lease, the type of lease, and so on. As well as the statuses, we pretty much have a one-to-one. You can see your pending's actually, even though it says pending, it's actually under the active status, which means it continues to accrue days on market. And that's equivalent to our keep showing contingency applies. And then there's also a drop down that you can select what sort of contingency that may be. There's pending backup encouraged. That's equivalent to the RESO accepting backup offers. Pending with kickout, we just made that still on a contingency basis. Your withdrawn is equivalent to the conditional withdrawn, cancel, unconditionally withdrawn, and sold is equivalent to closed. Again, this is on the cheat sheet. There's also you call it a contract date, we call it a pending date. The pending date is actually a RESO compliant field. And also you'll notice, because even though your MLS and association do not use the coming soon status, that is a RESO status, plus some of the data shares do use it. You're not required to use it. That's a decision for your board to make, whether you want to use that. It's just that those listings will be available. They'll be visible. You can search by them. It's just a decision on whether you want to adopt that or not. Okay, post-conversion. There are a few things that still need to be corrected, but I am going to harp on you about the point of reporting data, and I'll get to that shortly. But the corrections on the bathroom half, you have quarter, half, and 3/4. So those need to be mapped between the RESO bathroom half and bathroom full. So we're working on that today. I just want to make sure that that information is accurately mapped into our system. Showing time, and I'm going to discuss this shortly, but showing time, you'll continue to schedule showings up until Monday, April 4th. Again, I'll go into detail that shortly. Cloud CMA, we're still working with Lone Wolf on converting your accounts from UPAR MLS to my RealSource MLS, and it's really just a back-end change. There's nothing for you to do on that. HomeSnap Pro Premium, same thing. We're working on that. That's a conversion that has to be done on the back end. So your HomeSnap entitlements need to be switched to ours, where you'll get those premium features. Sorry, questions?
Yeah, actually, a really good question. Someone actually wanted to know, how do these statuses work with websites like Zillow? Do they transfer, and are they listed as the same statuses? So I thought that was a really good
Well,
question.
yeah, and Zillow uses RESO compliant statuses as well as us. So what we have, they have to have, and they're required under the rules of IDX, because remember, Zillow is no longer a syndicator, they're a broker, they're IDX. And under the rules of IDX, they're required to be compliant. So they don't really have a choice. Okay, BSNA deep linking, we're still working on that. As you know, BSNA does not cover everything in the Upper Peninsula, but what I'm trying to do is to link to every municipality or county that has data. So that way you'll have the link where it's available in BSNA. And the single property websites, we're working on that. I expect this to be completed by conversion because we've already built the product. It's just simply pulling in your data. Okay. I hope this doesn't look too scary, but let's get to it. So right now we're in the parallel phase. That started Monday. So right now, anything that you enter, and you're going to continue to enter that until April 1st, but in this parallel phase, you'll continue to enter in the UPAR Paragon, and anything that you enter into UPAR Paragon will automatically import. We're still working on the clients and contacts. I hope to have that in, but that won't impact your homework, which is I'll get to shortly. April 1st is read only. Now that weekend, that's a Friday, at some point late morning, we'll change your system, your current system, into read only. So between that over that weekend, you're not going to be able to enter into the new My RealTors system until Monday, April 4th. So over that weekend, you're going to be read only. You can't edit any listings. So if anything needs to be done going into that weekend, you need to get it done by Friday morning. I would stress Thursday night if possible. So that way we lock everything down, and then we convert every last bit of data that you have into the new system. So when April 4th, the morning of April 4th comes, which will be late morning, it'll be most likely 11 o'clock before noon, we will turn on listing maintenance, and then you'll be able to edit listings at that point. So to repeat, no listing maintenance in the new Paragon system. Everything will be locked. You'll continue to use UPAR Paragon until April 1st. And April 1st, it will be read only over that weekend. Encourage you to get all updates done by April 1st. Again, these notes are in that cheat sheet. So what you're looking at is already in that cheat sheet as well. So once you're fully on board, you'll start maintenance, listing maintenance. So when you edit the listing, yeah, you're going to get hit with those fields that require you to enter them. And the UPAR Paragon will be static. Now, you'll be able to go back in. We'll leave it up for at least a month or two, maybe even longer. But I like to do that because it's quite possible that maybe something was missed or something didn't migrate into the new system like it was supposed to. So you'll still be able to go back into that system to look at listings, grab contacts. I would encourage you to not wait until April 4th to do all of this stuff. So, which is why I'm going to go into your homework, what you need to do. So starting today or starting this week, you should have started exporting saved searches from Paragon, and I'll show you how to do that. And then importing those saved searches into My RealTors Paragon, the new Paragon. And also verify the accuracy of your listings. I did my best to map your data to our data, but it's quite possible that I may have missed something. Nobody knows your data better than you, the listings that you've entered. So just simply go in, you can go into the market monitor and view your listings, or go under search, inventory, and just run search on active pendings or closed. I would ask you to look at everything, at least in the last 6 months. And then just simply hit that corrections button that's right at the top for any listing. Say, hey, it's missing this, or that information is incorrect, or it's located here, anything. And as you know, with the corrections button, it gives me everything I need to know about the property except what's wrong with it. So simply state what is wrong. I get the information as far as what property it is, the address. I get all the information I need. You just need to tell me what's wrong. And again, you can see right here, contacts automatically imported on the 17th. Well, we haven't been there yet, so I need to correct that. I definitely apologize, but that will not stop you from starting this, exporting your saved searches and importing the new ones. Once we get the contacts in, and I'm hoping that they'll be in by the end of today, you can assign those saved searches to those contacts. And I know some of you out there have 350 contacts. Again, that's why we're importing them, or 400 contacts or 500. That's why we're importing them. But the saved searches, unfortunately, there's just no way for us to do that, which is why this is the way you're going to have to do it. You go under saved searches, you select that saved search, and you could see in the criteria summary, you could just simply grab that information, maybe on one screen, and then over on the other one, enter it in the new MLS system and add those searches. This might be an opportunity to clean up old saved searches that you just don't use anymore. And again, verify the accuracy of your listings. Now, I went through the effort of creating or recreating your all fields detail. And it's actually located under the specialty views under reports, and you'll see UPAR all fields detail. So I tried to organize it exactly like your all fields detail in your current MLS system. And the motivation behind this is I don't want you to have to search for these fields. I want you to be able to go in here and look and know that this looks accurate and correct. So and again, if it's incorrect, hit that corrections button and let me know what it is. And if you're not sure what to focus on, these are the ones that are what I would say the most important is the area, municipality, mail, city, school district, and geolocation. That's on the map. And this is where the property is physically located. So if it's not where it's supposed to be, then it could essentially be invisible to searches. So it's important that properties are correctly located. So this information, if it is wrong, that is something that at the very least, I need you to verify. And if it's not your listing, report it. I don't care whether it's your listing or somebody else's, report those inaccuracies. And finally, your login. We tried to keep this simple. It's the same login that you currently have with the UPAR system, except there's a capital UP, capital U, capital P, and then your current login. The password is the same as the password that you're using. Remember, they're case sensitive, so if there's any uppercase characters in the login or the password, you need to be case sensitive for both. Now, if you don't know what your login and password is, you can always do the forgot password, or you can actually call our support. Now, our support is there, and they can easily help you. If the forgot password for some reason is just not making its way to your email address, you can contact support, and they have your login and password, and they'll only send it to the email address that's on file. So whatever you have in Paragon, they will not give your password out over the phone. They will only submit that for security reasons to the email address that you have on file. So if you don't know your password and the forgot password isn't working, just call our support. We know what to do at that point, and we could send it to you simply through your email. But again, they will not give you your password over the phone. And one of the other reasons UPAR, your leadership, decided to come on board with us was one thing that we take very seriously is education. We continue to innovate new classes. We update our classes, and we teach from basics up to advanced. And you can see we have Paragon Basics, Advanced. You can see we go into CMAs. We do Cloud CMA classes, Paragon Connect classes. We do showing time. We go into advanced features with showing time, home snap. And then we have specialty classes like lead generation and social media that show you how to bring these products together and to gather more leads, how to grow your business. So those are hugely beneficial. We have a huge library of videos that show you how to use these products and how to bring them together. So I would encourage everyone to take advantage of these classes. I think and Colleen will show you that not all Paragons are created equal, and there are some advantages from one Paragon system over the other. And I feel like what we've brought to the table is something that definitely has advantages over your current system. So that's it. Any questions before I hand it over to Colleen?
Don't see any additional questions, but if you have any questions for Brian, now's a great time to throw them in that questions box. Again, you'll find that in the GoToWebinar handout. I did want to touch on two quick things. I put the PDF that Brian is referencing with the important dates and the things you need to know. That's in the handout section of GoToWebinar. I also attached the data sheets, but let me explain because I know there's been a lot of questions on the data sheets. So we have your data sheet for when you're getting ready. Again, you won't be able to enter listings into the new Paragon until April 4th, but the data sheet is there. There's also some additional fields, as Brian mentioned. So there's a separate, so there's actually two data sheets, if you will. There's the residential condo data sheet where you can fill all the information in. But then there is also a second sheet for additional fields that you may need to add. So keep in mind, those are all added into the handout section right in the GoToWebinar panel. And it looks like we do have a question.
Yep.
Will our special custom reports transfer, or will we need to redo those in the new system?
Yeah, unfortunately, you're going to have to redo those. Like I said, I reproduced your default report. But any of those client reports or special report or custom reports that you've created, unfortunately, those you're going to have to recreate. So, but again, just like in your current Paragon, if it's something that was just simply an a created report that was altered, you could still do that. So you could grab that report and copy it and then alter it the way you want. So if it's one of the client reports that you want to adjust, it's something that you can easily do. So I just want to remind everybody, those functions that you have in Paragon, they're in this system too. We just like to say we've added and we've made improvements on top of those. But all of that customization you're able to do in this Paragon as well.
All right, I think that's the last question. Again, if you have any other questions for Brian, now's a great time to throw them into that questions box. And I think if it's okay, Brian, I'm going to grab the screen from you here.
Yep, and I'll man the questions.
All right, so far so good.
Yep.
All right, and I just want to make sure you're able to see my screen. Brian, can you see that okay?
Yep, sure can.
All right, awesome. So Brian does all the hard work, and I have to tell you, he's been working tirelessly behind the scenes, making sure all the data transfers properly and all the custom fields are set for you. And really, the whole reason of going through this is you're going to have more data. Now, I know as an agent myself, I want to be able to work from anywhere. You're licensed in the entire state of Michigan. So I want to be able to list grandma's house over on the other side of the state and still have the comps and all the information that I need. street. I remember, gosh, 22 years ago when I started, I had to belong to 3 MLSs, pay 3 MLS fees, and enter all the data in 3 times, and nothing talked to each other. So I get fined from one MLS because I forgot to close it over here. Now through your home database, you literally can see properties from coast to coast. And as Brian mentioned, we're really 3 away from having the entire state available for you, which is very exciting. But my job is really more the fun education side, showing you some of the new fun things that you're going to be getting. I know you're somewhat familiar with Paragon, but I'm also going to throw in some time-saving tips and techniques. Hopefully you'll pick up a couple quick things today too. One of the things that I struggled with as an agent was that buyers were finding information on IDX sites, like we mentioned earlier, Zillow, Realtor.com, and other sites, quicker than I was able to find it. So Brian did this awesome thing. He built something very custom for us that will allow you to enter up to 30 addresses at one time. So I literally can type in all the addresses, pull them up fast, and even text them over to the client while we're actually discussing them on the phone. So I'm going to turn off my camera so that you can just really basically see my screen, and I'm going to show you where some of those new great features are. Going to talk about the single property website, going to talk a little bit about the new features that you're going to have in HomeSnap. I'm a huge fan of Cloud CMA. I like to also pull the data in from Psna. So we're going to cover all of that. So getting started. Now, my screen may look a little bit different than yours. I know when you log in for the first time, usually your quick search is on the left. I have a little OCD, so I kind of like to have everything in order. So keep in mind, you can customize Paragon. The only part really that you can't change around is that center section. And that's actually good because right now that's going to tell you when all the upcoming classes are. As Brian mentioned, the PDF with all the information that you're going to need to know is going to be in that center section. And we're also going to put things like where you can find this recorded class today. So I know change is hard, but hopefully when you see the new benefits and the new tools that you get, it makes it all worth it. So over here on the right side with my quick search is you're going to see a field in my quick search called full addresses. And this is one of my favorite things, as I mentioned, that Brian built so that we could type in multiple property addresses at one time, pull up everything, and again, even pulling it up and texting it over to our client while we're on the phone with them. So full addresses, if you don't have it in your quick search, remember, you can go to the gear at the top here, which is kind of your widget, if you will, and you can simply type in full addresses and make sure that it's in your quick search. Now, I'm going to show you really quick how to do that too. So let me just go ahead and remove it. If I want to add full addresses to my quick search, again, I'm just going to that find box. I'm going to go ahead and select full addresses. I'm going to add it over to my quick search. And remember, if you like it as much as I do, you can even move those. You can drag and drop them so that they appear at the top. So what I'm saying is if you're always scrolling down trying to find the information, remember there's a faster way. Simply move it right up to the top so that you can access it quickly when you're on the phone with someone. And I like to tell people full addresses, the benefit of that is if you, let's say you have a client who says, you know what, I just pulled up in front of 123 Main Street. I'd like information on, what's my new listing, 1871 Cove. I would also like information on a new listing that came on the market at 123 Main Street. As you can see, all I'm doing is I'm entering the information, and then after each address, I'm simply just hitting enter. So really easy. I can go ahead and enter multiple addresses at once, but all you want to do is make sure that you're hitting enter afterward, and it's going to separate those out. You can put up to 30 addresses in at a time, but it also does something else that I think is really cool. No matter if it's 123 Main Street, 123 Main Boulevard, Circle, Court, whatever it is, it actually has a built-in wildcard behind it. So that means no matter what the agent has behind it, it's still going to pull it up. So whether it's Main Street, Main Avenue, Main Boulevard, it's still going to pull up for you. The other thing that it does is if there is, let's say the agent put the directional in front of the name, or let's say, for instance, you don't know if it's on South Main or North Main, you could also add the asterisk right before the word Main, and it's going to pull up all of those properties. So now you can quickly research all of them. And again, once you've done that, so I'm going to hit my search button. Obviously, if they're pulling in front of them, they're probably pending or active properties. So I could even put that in and filter them out. I know at least where we are right now, everything seems to be pending so quickly. It's important to be able to quickly find that property that they're sitting in front of. So once we've got our properties pulled up, there's also a share button. So if we are talking to a client on the phone, we want to text these over, I can go right up to the share button, select the properties I'm looking for. I can hit share, text, and I can go ahead and text those out now to a client. Now, keep in mind, as Brian said, we're working hard behind the scenes to make sure that all of your contacts are brought over. And it's obviously some people have hundreds of contacts, some people have 5 contacts. So right now we're in the process of making sure all of those migrate for you so that you don't have to re-add them. So again, if I'm looking for a particular property, we're going to say that maybe these are active ones they're sitting in front of. I'm going to check them off. Simply go up to share. Again, I'm going to click my text box here. If they are a contact that you already have in the system, I can go ahead and simply click on this magnifying glass and pull it from my contacts, or I can go ahead and add a brand new contact from here. Now, another thing, of course, you're familiar with sharing your listings out onto Facebook, but another thing that you'll soon have is the single property website. And I have to tell you, I love this. You'll find it right under resources. And what Brian has done is he's basically made resources like your agent toolbox, if you will. So under resources, you're going to find things like your showing time. You're going to find things like Cloud CMA. You're going to find all of your tools that you're now going to have. And one of them you're going to see under your social media and lead gen services is the property inventory links. This is something that's done automatically for you anytime a listing is added into Paragon. This single property website is actually created. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a single property website just to show you. It's going to, of course, have all of your properties listed out. I'm actually going to show you a little nicer one. I have a fixer-upper right now, but I'll show you a good friend of mine, Tom Lipinski's. It's a lot nicer to look at than mine. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that single property website, and this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and share this to Facebook, which does a really nice share with a very big photo. I'll show you that in just a moment. Of course, when clients are looking at this, they can go through all of the beautiful photos. They can go through virtual tours, video tours. If you put in a branded tour, and by the way, in Paragon, when you start entering listings, there's a place for branded tours and unbranded tours. If you have a branded tour that has your contact information that you've placed into Paragon, you'll also see that up here in your single property website. Now, why I like the single property website so much is that so many people these days are sharing information from third-party sites or IDX sites, and basically you're working so hard and you're giving away all the leads to someone who may have just bought that zip code. The nice thing about sharing with the single property website is at the bottom, the only other listings they're seeing are your actives, your pendings, and your closed. So it's only promoting you. So again, the beauty of the single property website is that you don't have to do a thing. All you do is put your listing into Paragon. It's then created for you, and now you can go ahead and start advertising it out onto social media. Of course, there's a place to schedule a showing. So that basically just emails the agent when they may want to see that particular property. And as we scroll down, it's going to give information directly coming from the MLS. Also, room sizes in a nice, easy view, something that they're going to be used to seeing. Down here, they can also ask questions. Of course, that goes directly to the agent. And when this is shared onto social media, if people are sharing it, remember, they're not sharing other agents' information. They're only seeing Tom. Even if it's forwarded 5 or 6 times, they're always seeing Tom's information.
You got
when I go ahead and I'm sorry.
Uh,
Okay.
Asking about whether you can share to Instagram. Is Instagram available? I don't
I
remember. See the double
don't.
arrow? Go right below that. Now that just shuts that. No, but
Yeah.
it is something we could look at adding. This is our product, so we could definitely look at having it added.
That's a great idea because that's very popular. So right now, the buttons that are over to the right, and I mainly use Facebook myself, but you can obviously tweet it out. You can put it out onto Facebook. You can pin it in Pinterest. You can email it, and you can share it in LinkedIn. So those are the options there. But Brian, that is a really good idea. Maybe we could get that done. All right. Any other questions? All right, so that's the single property website. Again, another great tool, another reason that you're making this conversion. And as you can see, when I go to share it, I can not only share it to my page, but I can also share it to my business page or a page you manage, or share in an event if you're having an open house. By the way, if you're having an open house, there'll be an open house banner that appears on your single property website. So I can put a nice call to action, and then when I share it, it's going to have this huge photo with the information listed below, and then they can click into it to get all of the details. So it's really easy, and again, nothing you have to do. This is actually something that's just done for you by simply putting your listing into Paragon. All right, so I'm going to jump back to my home screen for just a moment here. Another thing I like about Paragon is really there's multiple ways to search in Paragon. One of the functions of Paragon is to be able to find things quickly. And that's really where this power search that no one even realizes is up here at the top. If you're looking for one property fast, or maybe I'm going to use Cindy on our call today. Let's say Cindy just listed a brand new property. I ran into her at a restaurant last night, and I wanted to quickly find the property she was describing to me because I knew she was going to put it on the market today. I could actually type in one address. I could type in an agent name like Cindy Spafford, which would give me her listings that I could go through. I could also put MLS numbers up here. But the whole idea is it's easy then to pull up that particular listing that I'm looking for.
We got some questions coming in.
Okay. Fire away.
Got one. When you were scrolling through the listing, I'm guessing this, I saw estimated taxes. Is there a field in the MLS for summer and winter taxes or combined taxes? I believe we have SEV field now, but that's all. No, we have all of those. We have summer, winter, and the summer year, winter year, plus total taxes, SEV year, village taxes. So I believe that we have everything. And again, it's up to your board whether you want to make all of them required, because not all municipalities have a winter and summer, so it really depends.
So I'll open up our tax fields here, and so currently you've got your property ID, legal description.
When we down listing, is there a way to add some comments? Right now, only listing sheet can be faxed. I mean, you mean text. So when you text a listing in Paragon, again, this is something that if you're referring to functions in Paragon, it's going to be similar to what you have today. If you use the text option, I'm not sure with the texting. No, you don't get an opportunity to put any remarks. Okay.
Good question.
Yep.
And just to answer the tax question, I've got that up so you can actually see all of the fields that are there. Does give you options for summer tax, winter tax, combined tax, tax year, homesteaded. So it should have everything that you have now and then some. All right, any other questions?
No, that's it.
All right. I'm gonna just go ahead and close out of here so we can go back to that listing here. So as Brian mentioned, we have done a lot making Paragon easier. And what I mean by that is I'm a huge fan of the easy buttons, right? So the easy buttons that I talk about in a lot of our classes are located here. And the one that Brian was mentioning earlier is that BSNA, that deep linking. So it kind of looks, I apologize, I always tease Brian about this because it kind of looks like a garbage can. He took a government pillar and squished it onto a button, which kind of made it look a little more like a garbage can than a government pillar. But again, if you go into that BSNA, these quick action links are basically taking you into other programs instead of having to log out of Paragon, logging into another program, then putting in the property address. It's actually going to take you directly to these other programs for this specific property. And that's really the beauty of this. As I mentioned, you can also get to the single property website from here. So you can go ahead and open that up directly from your listing and share it. We're going to talk a lot about HomeSnap. We're going to be doing HomeSnap classes here shortly. But as Brian mentioned, we've done some unique things with our HomeSnap. It's not just everybody's HomeSnap. Brian has found a way to actually include the disclosures, and you can even edit your listings. Now, why I bring up disclosures is I was actually just showing properties last weekend, and it happened to be in St. Clair Shores. They had some flooding at one point. Some of the city drains weren't working so well, and there was some evidence of water in this basement. So my buyer asked me, Colleen, is this from the flooding that they had here, or was this just like a sub pump backup? The nice thing is, because the agent has added disclosures in Paragon, those Paragon disclosures feed over to HomeSnap. So I was literally standing in the property with my phone. I'm able to pull up the property disclosures. I'm able to even share them over to the buyer standing next to me so we could review them together. So the idea is all of these quick action links just make it that much easier to go directly into, for instance, BSNA. So if I click on that trash can looking icon, that's going to take me to the municipality, that BSNA record. I'm not going to go too far in there. Now, Brian, do you want to talk a little bit about, so when they click on that, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, that's going to take them to the municipality, but if there's a fee, they still need to pay that fee, correct?
Correct. Where all we're providing is the deep linking.
Perfect. All right. Go ahead and close out of here. Some of the other things that you're going to want to be aware of is obviously you've got your market monitor over here to the left. One of the things that Brian is going to ask you to do is to take a look at your listings now. So that's why we do parallel, why we just don't cut in cold turkey, right? We want to make sure everything is done properly before going into the new system. As Brian mentioned, the old system is not going away, so don't panic. It will be kind of in a read-only state, but it will still be there. But what we want you to do right now is we want you to check your listings and make sure that they look correct. All the information is flowing over, the photos are flowing over. And Brian, as Brian mentioned, we've got most of those listings coming in on a timely basis. He even saw listings that were entered this morning before our class. So the idea now is we still have to convert those.
I just want to make a point because I could see maybe some people might get a little confused after April 4th. Just to remind everybody, the old system isn't going to go anywhere, but it will not update after April 4th. So, or on April 4th. So if you edit any listings in the new MLS system, it will not flow into the old system. The old system is only going to be there after April 4th as a reference. So it's going to be frozen in time. That's the best way to put it. So I just want to make sure everyone's clear on that.
Kind of a read only, would you say, Brian? They can just go in.
But I don't believe the listings will expire. It will just remain stagnant. So in other words, any of those processes, those will not run. So it's going to be, when the system locked down Friday, it's going to stay like that permanently.
Great. All right, so when you're going in, the quickest way to check your listings is to use your market monitor. I like to go right to my info, and that's the quickest way to check your listings. So when you're ready to look, let's say you have 10 listings, you're ready to look at all of them, you're simply going to click on the number in the listings box, Again, you can check your closed, check your active, and then this is going to allow you to open up that listing and just go through it. That way, if there's anything missing or something doesn't look right to you or didn't carry over to the right field, now is the time we want to correct that before going into the new Paragon. We want to make sure everything is there. So as Brian mentioned, this is where we really need your help. If you click on My Listings, every listing has that correction button, as Brian mentioned. So that corrections button is right here in the toolbar. If you hit correction, just let us know what's wrong so we can take a look. So if something didn't carry over that was in the other Paragon, this is where you're going to report that. That comes right to Brian and MLS staff so that we can see if anything is missing in this interim.
Colleen,
Yes.
Can you go into reports and go under the UPAR report? I just want to make sure that everyone's clear with it.
Absolutely. So over to the right-hand side, as Brian mentioned, we also tried to mimic your report as close as we could, and that's going to allow you to see it pretty much just as you did before. It's as close as we could get. So I'm going to go over to specialty views, and I am going to go to the UPAR all fields data. So it's going to look like this. This should be kind of similar to what you'd seen before. And again, you're going to find that under specialty views. What I would suggest is you make that a favorite. So that way you can just favorite it over here to the right. You can drag it up to your favorites folder, whatever's easiest for you. And that way you always have that report that you're familiar with. However, you'll find even more reports than you had previously. And Brian's done a great job of labeling things. Like if it says client full package, that's obviously going to be something for the client. I'm a huge fan of the MLS client view because it's a nice one-page report. So keep in mind you have a few more reports to choose from, but the report that you're used to using is still there. You probably want to favorite it. Again, it's under the specialty view. And it's called the UPAR all fields data. All right. Over here, let's go into some of the searching functionality. So up here, we're going from there's home, there's search, there's listings, but really we're going to spend a couple of minutes in search and talk about some of the features. You're going to have a few more feature choices. If I click on search, let's say I want to search by single family. I'm going to go ahead and open that one up. Again, I've added my full addresses here as well. So if you want to use that great full address field in your search, remember you do have to add it in. It doesn't usually come out of the box that way, but you can do that under the customized field. But again, you can add up to 30 addresses at one time to send over to clients. But one of the things I want to point out is as we scroll down, basically, and you're probably semi-familiar with this when working with features, but there's the must-have, must-not have, and must-have at least one or more. So let's say that your client said, you know what, I really need an in-ground pool. My girls are in swimming lessons, we really want to have a pool. That's great. You can start typing that in. And then that's going to be in the must-have. Now, why this is important is if you're setting up your buyers to get those auto notifications anytime a new listing comes on the market, we use the Collab Center. You're probably semi-familiar with the Collab Center. I'm a huge fan of that. You can actually quickly save your search, associate it to that buyer, and then, of course, they get any homes with the criteria that you've entered. However, if you have a client who says, you know, I don't want anything with a septic field. I just had a client, we were closing on her home and she ended up having to put in a new raised engineered septic field in the amount of $17,000 unexpectedly. Here in Macomb County, we have a well and septic ordinance. So she was not too happy. So she said, Colleen, don't even show me a new house with a septic field. So you can actually say, don't want to see anything with a septic field. And then that would not show up in their auto prospects. So it's not going to show up in their Collab Center. However, then there's the one or more. Maybe you have a client who says, I either have to have a pole barn or an outbuilding in order to run my home business. So you can do must have at least one of those items in order to show up in his Collab Center. But while you're getting familiar with these new features, if you scroll over to the right, this is a nice, easy way to see everything that's available to you. Like quite often, maybe you have a client who said, you know what, I just got pre-approved, but I'm pre-approved FHA 203K. or you have a client who's just looking for something that would be land contract terms, you can actually find that directly under financial terms. Another one that I think would be probably pretty popular in your area would be water features. So I have a client who has a boat. He doesn't really necessarily just want waterfront. He would take beachfront over by us. He would take canal frontage. He just basically wants to put his boat in the water. Maybe he'd look at lake frontage, river frontage. He'd be okay with any one of those. So it must have one of those to show up in his collab center. Now, if you are not familiar with the collab center, we are going to have a whole class on that next week. I love the collab center. I think it's easy. It's a great way for your clients to go in and communicate with you, favorite listings. It's also going to work. It's fully integrated with showing times. You can schedule multiple properties quickly. But the idea is when you're setting up these searches, you can save them and create a great site that you can communicate with your client. So many times, let's say you're working with a buyer and the buyer says, you know what, Colleen, I only want to see houses in St. Clair Shores. And I just had this happen. My friend Dawn Waldrop listed a house one street over in the neighboring city. And I saw the pictures. I knew it would be perfect for them. So I went into their collab center and I did an agent recommended. Even though it didn't fall in the exact criteria they asked for, it turned out to be the house that they ended up purchasing and closing on. So you can do an agent recommended, or you can even do an agent preview. I had a referral that was sent to me, and she called me and she said, Colleen, if you send me one more yellow-sided house, I'm going to find another agent. Well, first of all, I didn't know she didn't like yellow siding. And second of all, there is no button in the MLS that says remove yellow sided houses. So what you can do is if you have a little bit more of a demanding buyer, you can have it go to an agent preview, which sends everything to you first. If you think it would be perfect for them, you can approve it and it now goes directly over to that buyer. So some really easy ways. And I'll show you real quick kind of what that, yes, sure.
Someone asked, the financial search FHA must have, does that mean that when listing a property that it's going to be a required field to input that type of info? That is a required field. That's financial terms. So whether the dwelling qualifies under an FHA or just a conservative loan or any of the other ones that would apply, that would be entering the listing. Now, what Colleen was showing was searching. So in other words, if I'm FHA qualified, then I want to just get FHA qualified properties. So I hope that answers that question.
It's a good question. All right, so we talked a little bit about setting up your search for your buyer. I'm just gonna, and again, we're gonna show you, I know we're going over a lot of information. We're gonna show you where you can watch this class later. And remember, there's gonna be a class on lead generation using the single property website. There'll be a class on the collab center, so don't feel like you have to take it all in at this moment. But I just wanna show you real quick what the collab center actually looks like. One of my favorite features about the Collab Center is it does show you right under your contacts where all of your contacts will be imported. So right under contacts here, it does show you when you created or when you added that person. It does show the last notification that they received. So they actually received notifications today of new houses. It even shows when they last logged in and looked for houses. So all of that's being recorded here. But one of the things I love is that your client can go in and they can actually favorite houses. So I can schedule appointments quickly using showing time. So let's say that we've got our client just went in, they saw this new property delivered. They can go ahead and favorite it, ask questions. They can mark it as rejected. They can set up their own custom searches and own custom folders to keep track of things. Husbands and wives or spouses or significant others, they can also be added to the same site, if you will, so that, coming soon. That's a property I just closed, so I was kind of surprised to see that one. So those properties can be displayed to both the significant other, and then if they go in and they favorite properties, and I'm just going to grab a couple, of course, they can go in, they can view all the details on the property. But if they favorite a couple, it's very easy for you, the agent, to drop them in a showing time cart. If you haven't used the showing time carts, I'm a huge fan. Makes it super simple, especially when you're covering a larger area. But of course, they can now go in, they can see the remarks and information from the MLS. They can even request a showing, which now this doesn't request a showing in showing time. This just alerts you via email the time and date. Instead of you picking up the phone and saying, okay, I see you like this property. When would you like to see it? It allows them to email when they're available so that you can go ahead and set up those showings. Of course, they're going to be able to see property information, the property history, and all of that in one convenient place. But as I mentioned, my favorite part is really the fact that it's so easy for me as the agent, because I now can drop all of those properties right into a showing time cart, which I'm going to show you. So I've got my client to go ahead and favorite a few of the listings that they want to see. I'm going to go back into Paragon under my contacts now. So let me go ahead and close this messaging here. I'm going to go back into my contacts, view and manage. I've set up their collab site so I can see, yep, they favorited 5. I now can go in, click on that number 5, and quickly add them all to my showing time cart. So I've got a couple coming soons in here. I'm just going to add the actives here. And then Brian created those great easy links for you. So if I want to throw these all into showing time, which again, you'll be scheduling and entering all of your listings through your current Paragon, the UPAR Paragon, until the weekend of the 4th, you'll be able to log in and start adding those listings in. So I've got the properties that my client favorited. I'm now going to click on the showing time link. That takes me right into where I can build my showing time cart. And I've done that all right from the Collab Center. I didn't even have to call them. I have all that information. I'm going to say I want to show it today. And I'm going to say my buyer's name is Barry Buyer, so I can keep track of how many houses I've shown him. And as you can see, it's now dropping all of those properties into a showing time cart. And I can even use the smart route to route them in the logical order. You can even do things like add other listings. I always get that buyer who right on my way out the door after I've got everything scheduled, they call and say, guess what? We found one more house. So you can actually add another listing to the cart, or if you're taking them maybe to lunch and you want to add the restaurant in so they know the order of the houses that you're going in, you can add a lunch restaurant stop. And it will show you, especially because you're covering such a large distance, it will show you how long it's going to take for you to drive from property 1 to property 2. So I can see it's only going to be a 2-minute ride, but if you're 30 minutes away and you're trying to appropriately schedule your showings, that's really important to know. Then I can go in and pick my times that I want to see the property, and I can even create turn-by-turn directions that I now can send over to my buyer. So all of that is done right through the favorites, right through your contacts. So if you can get your clients to favorite their listings, the beauty of that is now I can drop them all into the showing time cart and we're ready to go. All right, Brian, do we have another question? I thought I saw the question box pop up there for a minute. Nope.
Yep. Oh, we got a compliment, I guess. Love the showing feature, so helpful.
Good. And once we get into the listing entry period after April 4th, we're going to show you great tools like that. We're going to show you how to enter your listings using the tax autofill, how to drop listings into the showing time cart. So we'll show you even more of that. So thank you for the compliment. That makes my day. All right, so again, think of your resources as your toolbox. Think of this is where you're going to find all of the great tools like Cloud CMA. I'm a huge fan of Cloud. There'll be a whole class on that. It's where you're going to, again, find your single property websites coming in when you're entering your listings. As Brian mentioned, it's a little difficult right now because we know that, change is hard, but when you have all of these new great tools and you have so many more properties that you can see and access, it really does make our job so much easier. So your homework, again, go to your market monitor, click on My Info, click on your listings, and just go through them. Make sure that they look like everything's carrying over properly for you. That's really the big takeaway, your big homework. If anything isn't, make sure you hit the corrections button. We've also added the data sheets. Now remember, you won't be able to enter listings until April 4th, but if you go to the MLS documents that are right up here in the corner of Paragon, Brian did a great job of actually creating, and you won't see all of this, you'll only see the Upper Peninsula folder here, but you'll have the conversion PDF that Brian mentioned, as well as the MLS data sheets. Now, I know there was a little bit of confusion about that with the last class, so I do want to explain. You have the data sheets for the different classes. So you've got your My RealTors data sheet that will have all the fields that you can go ahead and enter. They're nice and easy, laid out. But there are two data sheets. There is an additional data sheet that has the additional fields that you may want to access that are really more specific to UPAR. So there are two data sheets. I've also attached those into the handout section of the GoToWebinar panel. This is the first data sheet, and then just remember the one that says UPAR additional field will give you additional fields that you may need to add. So there are two. Did I explain that correctly, Brian?
Yeah, the supplemental sheet has the additional fields. It's just that this revision, we won't be able to build the data sheets with your added fields until at a later date, but this will be something you would include with any of the data sheets. So as you can see, not all fields are relevant. Just the CFA yes no is for vacant land, but the others are I'm pretty sure relevant for all classes. So you just fill it out as appropriately, and again, you use zip form. The other forms, this supplemental form isn't there yet, so that's something that we're working on. But the other data sheets are, or they're already in zip form. We just need to have them added to the UPAR entitlements.
All right, so if you're like me by now, your head is probably spinning with all the information that we've kind of thrown at you. So the good news is, and cheat sheets are great, don't get me wrong, we have cheat sheets that are available. We have 81 cheat sheets for you. They're cheat sheets, they're short and sweet. You can find those under the MLS documents. But when I'm frustrated, the very last thing I want to do is read a cheat sheet. I just want to follow along or see a quick 2-minute video on how to do that. So what I did is I created a playlist for you. If you go to YouTube and you type in My RealTors Media, that will bring you to our channel. Under our channel, you'll see the Upper Peninsula Association of Realtor playlist. This class, as well as all the classes going forward, are going to be recorded, and you'll find them in the playlist. That way, if it's 11 o'clock at night and you need help just on the collab center or something like that, those will be available. All you have to do is click on the playlist. It'll open up all of the classes. All you have to do is click on it. It'll start to play, and you can fast forward even to the area that you need. So we want you to have help. And as Brian mentioned, you have tech support 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That will walk you through not just Paragon, but we support all of our products. We don't want you to have to call Paragon for one thing, then HomeSnap for another thing. We want to be able to assist you in one call with any questions you have on any of the products. All right, Brian, did I miss anything? Anything else you wanted me to elaborate on or cover maybe?
Yeah, there's something that just kind of occurred to me is if you decide to search by MLS number, there is a field called original MLS number, and that's where the UPAR MLS numbers are searchable. So it's a field that you can just simply add to the quick search or any of the searches. So if all you know is the MLS number, you could put it in there and you could still search by that number. Now, obviously coming on board or bringing your listings, we had to renumber them because they would conflict with listings that were already existing. So they get new numbers, but you could still search by them by the original MLS number. So
if they want to do that, Brian, they would just go to their quick search, type in original MLS number, and then add it right over to their quick search, correct?
Correct.
All right. So again, you'll find that gear at the top. You can click on that gear. All you're going to do is type in the word original. It'll bring up original MLS number. Check it off, hit add, and you can add it to your quick search.
Yep.
Awesome.
And the power search is always up there to search by address, but it will only pull it up by the new MLS number, not the old one.
All right. Anything else I missed?
No, we try to cover everything.
All right. Let's see. Can you, is there any other questions I missed?
I don't see any.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming today. I think you're going to enjoy once you can start entering your listings. Again, we've got a lot of classes coming up on Collab Center. You can start entering your listings on April 4th. So right now, continue to use showing time and the listing input through the UPAR Paragon. You do have support. Remember that support number is on the handout, as well as I think Brian put it on that center section of the MLS. And other than that, I hope you have a great day. Thanks, Brian.
Yep. Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody. Happy selling.